Good evening, everybody. Um, Welcome to our second observance, a week-long celebration of International Men's Day, Day 5. Today's topic is Indigenous men's self-care and well-being. My name is Sivam Velayudham, and I am the founder and the president at Voice of Men 360. Let me share a brief introduction about Voice of Men 360 and International Men's Day and why is today's topic discussion important. Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020 and is based in Toronto, Canada. Many boys and men are seeking help and support in many areas of their lives. We understand the demands and the support needed when it comes to boys and men in our society. Voice of Men 360 organization was born out of seeing a tremendous need and stepping up to a help, provide services to help support and overcome men and boys' life challenges. We are part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving for over 21 years, and so far 90 countries around the world joined together and doing various activities regularly. IMD follows 6 pillars, which focuses on the overall well-being of boys and men. This includes nation, society, family, marriage, community, and childcare, where we celebrate the contribution of men and boys. We follow in the same food steps. Indigenous men's self-care and well-being. Why is today's discussion important? As we all know, can understand and agree that our Indigenous boys and men are going through lots of challenges, struggles, and traumas on a daily basis. It is our duty and responsibility to create awareness and support our fellow boys and men through our platform during this international observance. Before I bring our special guest, I would like to read our disclaimer. We would like to remind you that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with a good faith toward peacefully harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode show are those of our speakers and do not represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration, create awareness to the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have any questions or concerns about today's show or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us info@voiceofmen360.org. Let me introduce our special guest today, Chris Morrison. He is the founder of Indigenous Men's Alliance, and also Chris enjoys the outdoors and is a hunter, fisherman, and trapper. While on the territories of his Moose Cree First Nation, he acknowledges the 7 grandfather teachings. His values help him to be kind, caring, and loving to others as he fulfills his purpose. Chris innovatively articulates his traditional and cultural ways of overall well-being to teach and listen to those he has the honor of meeting. His leadership skills and knowledge are used to encourage and make everyone in his presence feel welcome. Chris believes that knowing who you are leads to success at being yourself and is the most important achievement for all people. Christopher Morrison, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining with such a very short notice. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your commitment. Let me start with asking you, taking you back to your childhood. What was your inspiration or influence that leads you to your current role or path? Can you give us some, where it started, please?
Well, for me, I think my my path to where my place that I am right now, it started when when I would probably follow my dad. Following my dad when we're hunting or fishing, and I just learned from him to be that leader. To take people's places so that they can, fulfill who they are. And I remember growing up and thinking that, we need more leaders, we need more men to follow. And I also thought about it on, for every team that I was on, I was the captain, I was the leader. Even for community organizations, I took that step forward to step up. If you want to say it like that. Like I always had this inner, need to fulfill my roles, my responsibility to, be there for other people, whether it was for my friends, my family now, my sons. We do need places for men to, overcome those challenges. But we also need a place for, you can think of myself, for example, I'm educated, I have the 4 university degrees, and I need a space to, to help the other men with whatever challenges they're going through, whatever barriers I can help them break down. For the IMA, the Indigenous Men's Alliance, it started when I was in university, and I was thinking, where are the men in the university, for example? There's not as many men, Indigenous men, to get an education, to become educated. I got my master's degree, and the next one will be getting my PhD. And an inspiration for that was my older brother saying, Chris, if you can do it, why don't you? You'll be that model for other men, other kids to follow. And when I think of myself, I think of my children, my sons, my daughters, because they will be following me. And so if I'm educated and I have that growth mindset, then they're going to want to do the same. It will be, I'll create this environment for them so that they can fulfill their roles and have that growth mindset, which is really important.
Absolutely. I mean, being a role model or, putting yourself first, creating as an example, it's such an important role, important part in our life. If you can, if you don't mind, can you give us your background, like which nation are you from, where are you actually originally from, so people can understand, can relate to more.
So I'm a Omashkego Cree. It's a Swampy Cree. I'm from, how can I say this? We're the oldest settlement in Canada. It's called Moose Factory Island. It's in the Moose River. And looking at Canada, there's Hudson Bay, the big bay in the middle of Canada. And below it is James Bay. So the Moose River flows into the James Bay. We're about 10 kilometers from the James Bay. And so that's where I grew up. I grew up on my traditional territory, the Moose Creek First Nation. So I grew up hunting, fishing, like you in my intro, hunting, fishing, trapping, going to different areas to hunt, fish during different harvest seasons. And I was born there. My mom went to residential school there, which is another big story. My dad is from there. And I guess part of my background is, what can I say? I'm not totally very traditional, going into like the spiritual aspects of, going into the sweats. I have been into the sweats. I don't follow I guess you can say, I don't dance or drum or sing in that, traditional sense. but I do follow all those cultural practices of hunting, fishing, and yeah, I really enjoy that. I miss it, during these times. Our community has been shut down for a little while, and I don't really want to expose people to what I might bring there with COVID going on right now, which is a very big challenge for all nations across Turtle Island, across our world even. And my heart is out to those people who are going through that big challenge, just like we have right now. But it's great that I can connect through online presentations with you, with your organization, and on this day, International Men's Day.
No, it's really great to have you. Absolutely awesome. So let's get started. I see people are watching. A lot of people are want to watch and then watching right now. So whoever is have any comments or questions, please post on the group or page at Voice of Men 360 on Facebook or either on YouTube, so we can cover. And let's just start. I know you are front of the board, so you're going to teach us because your background, of course, is teaching. So let's. What's the most important value someone can display, brother?
So I teach. It's called the values for success. So the most important value that I guess we can display is our honesty. And so where does that honesty come from? It comes from the truth that we have within us. And so this is the model that I teach. Your honesty is a reflection of the truth that you have. Nobody knows your truth until you're honest with them, until you put it out there, you put your honesty out there. And without that honesty, there's no truth. Nobody will know your story, your true story. So with the Indigenous Men's Alliance and what we're based off of, our foundation is the 7 values. So we have truth, respect, wisdom, honesty, love, and humility. So in my workshops, I teach, it's called the values for success. And then you use them for your success, so values for success. And then while you're maintaining or sustaining your values and your success, it's your values as success. So there's 3 elements to it. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to, I guess right about here, you'll be able to see, or can you see my whole whiteboard?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right about here, can you see that? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, good. So when I start my my presentations, I start with, excuse me for a sec, I need to get my rubs off. So when I talk about the circle, the circle is universal for almost probably every nation across our planet. We live on a circular planet. So I think of the circle. So there's 3 parts of the circle. When I teach about this circle, there's 3 parts to it. So we have the inside, and then there's the outside, and then there's the line. We have the line. A lot of people forget about that line. So in relation to men, like my role, I won't talk about the woman's part of this because that's not where I'm speaking from. I'm speaking from being a dad. I'm speaking from being a firekeeper. That was another, that's a main thing of my nation and how we identify. We identify as firekeepers. So what it means to be a firekeeper is inside of this home, this circle, there's that fire. We have that fire within us, within ourselves. And our role as a firekeeper, as men, or those who identify as men, is we take care of that home fire. And it relates to taking care of that woman's fire. That's what it means as a husband, as a dad even. So because inside of this space, we consider the water carrier space. It relates to that first home inside of mom. So we call our life givers water carriers because water gives life. And then the balance of that is our fire keepers. So the men, but our goal is to maintain that home fire. So what we do is we stand on the line. We stand on the line, providing for it, protecting it, so that nothing, we provide for it. We provide for that fire so that it stays warm, so that the woman can do her role, so that she can take care of life. So inside of this space, we consider the children's space, the elder's space, and those women's space. It's up to the men to stand on that line. We stand on that line to protect it. And what we do is we go outside of that home to bring back to that space. So that's how it goes. It's almost like when you breathe, you're breathing. You breathe in that air, giving you fuel. Same thing with food. You put that food into your body and it fuels your inner fire so that you can have it, so you can be healthy. And so that's what we do as fire keepers. The other part about this structure is that we know where we stand. And like this service that we're trying to provide, a lot of men don't realize that, they have a part in our circles. They have a part in our neighborhoods, our communities, our nations, because we need that balance. We need that protection. So if the men are not on the line, if they're out of line, then it'll weaken the community. It'll weaken the structure of that community. So going back to the circle, where does this circle come from? So where does this circle come from? I'll move it on to the next little lesson here. Where does the circle come from? What makes that circle? So what the foundation of that home is these three values. The value of truth, the value of respect. So inside of our mother in our first home, we learn the truth that she's going to take care of us. We learn that value of truth that she's going to take care of us. So then we learn the value of respect. We respect the truth that she's going to take care of us, which gives us the value of wisdom. So these are your inner values. These are values people can't see. They can't see your truth. They don't know how much respect you have. And they don't know how much wisdom you have. It's not until you are honest. And honesty is about making a choice. You decide. You decide on the truth, your respect for the truth, and then your options. So how do you know when somebody is being respectful? It's in that value of love. Love is when you act, your action. You act out of love. So when you act out of love, only good things should happen. The example I give is you don't have to love everything. Like my wife, I don't love everything she does or says, but I do have that inner respect for her. And when I have that respect for her, that's where it started. I respected her more than I loved her. My respect is always a bit more, and my love is catching up. I show and display my respect in my love, my actions. And then wisdom. Wisdom, how do you know how much wisdom somebody has? So wisdom is shown when somebody asks a question or they try something, which is that value of humility. Being humiliated. This is where a lot of men in our communities, they don't get to this value of humility. Humility is also about looking back, looking back on what you did, how you can learn from what you did, and then coming up with that new truth. Wisdom is, what can I say about wisdom? the more questions that you have answered, the more things that you try, the more wisdom you have. So wisdom is like a list of options. What are your options? So with this foundation, this is the foundation of who we are. This is the foundation of our home. The truth that mom is going to take care of you in that home. And then you respect that truth, which it creates that triangle. And then at the center of that is that fire. Every time I teach this, it's a little bit different. And that triangle is the strongest shape in our universe. And so this is the foundation of our home. So these inner values, nobody can see the truth of your home, inside your home, how much respect you have, how much wisdom or knowledge you have. It's not until you show it in your actions, your honesty, and then the stuff you try or the questions you ask. So one of the main values that I teach about is that this value nobody can give you. You already have it in you. We have it at any age, and then it's our courage. It's our courage that binds us together. So when I talk about my workshops, I talk about creating a brave space. So within our homes, with me as a parent, it's a brave space for my family. It's because we're using our courage to come together. We're using our courage to create this space. So we use our courage to be brave. One of my buddies, he went to Afghanistan and he was fighting in the war, and so when people are faced with that challenge, a lot of them will go into a safe space. They'll go and they'll hide. They'll hide from that challenge. And so in order to overcome that challenge, the truth is you have a challenge and you need to respect that challenge. So what are your options? What is your wisdom? So you honestly make a choice to overcome that challenge. And so you act in a way using your courage, to overcome it. And so your humility, that aspect is you try to overcome it. You keep trying until you do. And then it's your courage that helps you to do that, to be brave. So you create a brave space between you and that truth, that challenge. So he had to come out of his space to overcome that challenge. That's like the most extreme example, but we can see it in our societies where men won't step to that line. They'll retreat. If they're faced with a challenge, they'll step back. It's safe for men to just stay home, watch TV, kids gaming on their phone, whatever they're doing. That's a safe space. They're not overcoming the truth. They're going to this aspect of disrespect. I don't talk about the disrespect as much because I think we need to look at, what are the models in place that will help us to respect the truth. I'm not an inspirational teacher. I talk about these values because your values shape your beliefs. In our home, if we have strong values, we're going to believe in ourselves, which changes our attitude, our spirit. We're gonna overcome challenges with a positive attitude. Knowing, believing that we can overcome. So this is the foundation of the home. So when I was talking about that inside of here, this is our woman space, our elder space, our child space. So as men, as the fire keeper, we stand on this line. We stand on this line and we come together as men, protecting that space. Each of these poles represents a man, coming to that space to help provide for it. And it's the courage of men coming together that strengthens, unites that community. And so we don't have men standing on the line as we used to. It just seems that the men don't have a space to learn about their roles, their responsibilities, to help fulfill. This is the other part about feeling fulfilled. You get fulfilled by doing your roles, to doing your responsibilities, to acting, to standing on that line. A lot of men are out of line, and so it weakens the structure of our communities.
Chris, can I ask you a quick question though?
Sure.
I see, I didn't personally witnessed, but I see in the picture and, number of, in books too, that it represent, or it's kind of like a metaphor that, in the nation somewhere we can see that kind of like, I don't know exactly what you guys call the name. It's kind of like a the big
Tent, teepee?
yeah. So is it like a kind of metaphor?
Yes. So
Okay.
I use the teepee as when I'm one-to-one with groups.
Yeah.
I will use an actual teepee.
Right.
So when I talk to the kids, especially, and even with the men, I make it so simple that everybody can understand. In my culture, our teachers, they made it so simple that everybody, even the little children, could understand, and the adults. And we already complicate things so much already. And so this is a simple model that I can actually display. Like I bring a teepee and then I display it. And then the first thing I talk about is us as people. We can't stand on our own. We need somebody to lean on. But to ensure we never fall, we need that third element. That tripod, if you want to call it.
Yes.
So this is the foundation. These are these three values that you have inside of your home. And so these are the values that you lean on for your success. Because whenever you're maybe tipping or, you're not going to fall. You may, stop believing in yourself. You may lose that inspiration to, keep failing, or keep stepping forward, But I talk to the men and I tell them, every time you fail forward, you're failing forward. You take a step, you fall, but you're moving forward. It's that aspect of humility. It's okay to be humiliated. That's when you learn. So a lot of men will do these values, be honest, by telling their truth. They'll respect the truth. They'll show their truth and their respect and their love. But a lot of them get to this aspect of humility, and they don't continue to have that growth mindset, continuing to create these options for them so that they can pass those on. That's the other responsibility that we have as men, is to help those men, come along. We talk about the past. We talk about the past leaders, the present leaders, and the future leaders. Whether we like it or not, somebody is following us. So with this teaching, a quick teaching about this structure, this home, is that, it's a part of, we walk our circle, we walk our line, and then we come back. This also is a representation of Mother Earth. Mother Earth, her space, and then Father Sky protects her from outer space. So that's part of our culture. And then that our Mother Earth has that fire within her. So then that goes into the 4 fires, the 4 fires teaching, which I'll get to in a minute. So there's that Mother Earth's fire within her. There's that fire we have within our homes. And then there's that fire. I'll redraw it. So the 4 fires, this goes into the balanced home. How do you have a balanced home? How do you fulfill who you are as a man? How do you have a balanced home within yourself and then within your home? So we have that Mother Earth's fire, that fire within her. And then we have that fire within our homes. And then we have this fire within ourselves. And then we line ourselves with the universe, which is our grandfather firekeeper, which is the sun. And then we relate the water carriers to Grandmother Moon. Grandmother Moon pulls all the water around Mother Earth so that she can give life. So you have these 3 elements again working together, that triangle working together, leaning on each other. And then this is the universal teaching of our 4 fires. So we try to align ourselves, within our homes, with one another. And so a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of men, I guess, will be out of line, and so then their home is out of balance. So this is teaching.
Is it okay to say the 5 elements, the nature from the nature, the 5 elements that we relate or we connect with the 5 elements? Is it? Can we say that too? Or
yes. But the woman, they have that extra element. They have that extra element of the land, the land to give life. That's a big element that women have. They give life, like within themselves. They have that space, I guess, if you want to say, to give life. So that's another strong. That's probably the most powerful thing about our woman, is that they have that ability to carry life, just like our Mother Earth carries life through the universe. So that's a really big teaching. And this is another teaching. It goes into more of that spiritual journey that you have, but it relates to, your spirit relates to your attitude. And so if your fire, if you're out of line, your spirit is probably going to be low. Your fire will be low. So that's the quick teaching on that one. So
it's very simple and easy to understand. I love that concept. The way you put it. It is nice and neat. It's easy to understand, though, rather than putting too much, theories and so many things. It's easier. The picture says 1,000 words. So.
Yeah, this is why I like teaching with the whiteboard. Like it's like drawing a story for you. Like I'm painting a picture.
Yeah.
It's just you have to envision yourself in this place. So when I talk about this place, I talk about our like, where are we going? Where have we come from? That's the 3 parts of our journey as well. Our circle. We have our circle. We look back. Where did we come from? Like, who was supporting us? Who do we have right now? You think of this support system, you think of your community, there's other men that help your home. And then you think of all of these homes. Let's say each dot represents a home. They're all connected. They create neighborhoods. Neighborhoods connected creates communities. Communities connected creates nations. Nations connected creates Mother Earth space again. So we're all connected, like from my home to your home to wherever you are. And then Father Sky's protecting, at that universal scale from the outer universe. But a lot of men don't have this support structure. Our communities don't have that support structure. And so in our places, our homes, we have this value. When I was talking about our courage, we have this courage. We at the Indigenous Men's Alliance, and me as a dad, in all of my roles, my goal is to encourage. In my culture, courage means to help. to help. We use courage to help. That's what our courage does. It helps us. It helps to help him or her. That's what our courage does. It helps him or her. What we do is we encourage. So this prefix means to make. So to make help for him or her. That's what we do when we encourage one another. See, the thing is, I can give you all these values. I can give you the truth. I can give you respect. I can give you wisdom, humility, honesty, love. I can give you all of those things. But I can't give you courage. Because in our culture, courage, you already have it. You already have the courage, the value of courage. It's the first root value that you gain inside of that mother's space. You know, she has this space for you to grow that courage, that root value of courage. That's like a sacred thing. And so what comes from that seed, if you want to say seed planted inside of that mother or in the ground and all living things, that's your identity. That's who you are. And so the first root value that comes from that is the value of courage to grow. And you need that courage to be truthful, to respect the truth, to be respectful, to use your wisdom, to show it in your love, to show those values in your honesty, love, and your humility. So we encourage one another. And then with what I do as a leader is I do this with encouragement. So meant means a result. A result. So to make help a result for him or her. To make help a result for him or her. Encouragement. So this is the main value, I guess, your root value that binds your inner values, to your outer values that you show. You display honesty, love, and humility. You show those things. And so your inner values, this is what I tell people, I encourage people to be truthful. Because when you think about it, at this global scale, if you want to say it, this international, we all intersect at that fire in the middle. When you think about it, it's the courage of all of us coming together. We're making this help a result for one another. So that's the goal of the IMA. And so when you have this, I guess, this vision for yourself, this foundational value model for success, you can fail forward, if you want to say fail forward, to a place of peace. You come to this place of peace, because we all share this circle of truth. We all share this planet, if you want to go that big, if you want to think global. We share the same story. We're sharing this planet. We stand on this circle, or in this circle of truth. We share that same commonality. And this is why I start with the circle. We have this notion and this, this knowledge, this background, that there is that circle. And so in our cultures, our indigenous cultures, we think circular. Because we come out of that woman's space onto the land to breathe the air, and then we come through our mother's water. Land, air, and water. So it makes up this natural law, the LAW, the land, air, and water. So that's our natural law that we all share in this circle. So I don't know, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Well, I want to ask you one question. I don't know whether it's I want to ask you here or later on, but I was listening to your presentation. I mean, the drawing actually, the land, air, water, of course, the fire and the sun, everything comes together. But at the same time, what do you think, or how do you see, let's say, the man, why do they feel the lack of confidence or not worthy or feel less? You know, where do you see that? Why it's happening though?
So where does your success come from? Is that what that's another thing that I teach at in our workshops. So when I think of the men, I'll use hopefully you can see this blue. When I think of the men, I think of, who is standing beside you, who is encouraging you, who do you surround yourself with, who are your friends, if you want to say. So you should be the average, about the average of the group that you hang around with. Going back to that the Mother Earth's space, if you can see, hopefully you can see this. So this is Mother Earth space. So when that seed is planted in Mother Earth, the first root value is that core value of courage that grows. We have the value of courage from our identity. Then we learn the truth. Then we learn to respect the truth. Then we get that wisdom. So these are our root values. And so when we come into this world, it's that first main root value of courage that we have the courage to enter this world. We have the courage to take that step. We have the courage to ask those questions. And so we display. So when you were talking about those life stages in your intro, those 6 stages or 6 pillars, if you want to talk about, we talk about the 8 stages of life. So as you grow in those 8 stages of life, you gain all of this knowledge, this wisdom by, through humility. So this is where you become fulfilled. You become fulfilled. And so when you are full like this, you grow taller. But a lot of men do not grow up like this. It's because they are not sharing what they have with the men beside them. If this man is sharing with you, and then you're sharing with the other person around you, then your average or your growth should go up. But a lot of people nowadays, you think of, what do you can say, capitalism,
Yep.
greed. A lot of men are growing up like this way. And so it's impeding the growth of other men. They're starting to take over so much space, whereas they're not sharing that space. And so when you grow, when you have that growth, you're going to share that with the person beside you. But a lot of men nowadays don't have those men beside them.
Somebody saying wall for trees.
Right. Somebody that's going to keep you in line to share their knowledge. And so when you share the truth or you're honest, then that gets absorbed into the root value of somebody's truth. You're honest, so they take that in as the truth. And so they respect that truth. And then within our culture, our Indigenous culture, it doesn't matter where we are. It's because we all share those same root values. I think of my brothers, my group of 5. So there's me, my younger brothers, and then there's my sons, and then there's my older brother, and then there's my dad. And so we're growing like this. I might be, then we share different things. So the thing about our growth as men together, we have this identity, right? So you can take everything away from a man. You can take his support system away. You can take everything he knows away. The only thing left is going to be his value, his main core root value of courage. That's what the last thing that remains. And so back to the model, it's the courage of men, coming together that creates that structure, that creates that circle. Because they can take away the truth, same thing, but you're going to always have that courage. It's just up to you to, make that choice. This is why I was talking about honesty. You honestly make a choice to use your courage. I'm going to be courageous and be brave. I'm going to face that challenge. So it's about honestly making a choice because your courage is there. And then the people that you're standing with encourage you. They support you. You might have, there's you, like me, my brothers. And then there's my uncle. The other part of our societies now is that, uncles, grandpas, cousins, they don't know the support structure. And a lot of people, again, back to asking that question, is a lot of people are afraid. They're making a choice out of fear. They're afraid or fearful to ask a question, to ask for that support. They don't put it out there. That's the thing. If you don't ask for help, you're not going to get it back. You think of that circle again. You don't ask for it, it's not going to come back. And so this is why I encourage people, if you have a question, just ask, just let me know. Because I'm here this is part of who I am, my identity. My core identity is to help others, to make help a result. The elder that I have on my board, he's Dene, and so they relate courage to the values, to that act of service, serving, helping other people. And so it's really important that, you're honest with yourself to begin with. If you don't know, this is why I tell my kids, if you don't know, just ask me. So this is why I create a home, or this is where we create environments, workplaces, based on these values. And then it's the courage of people coming together in your organization, your neighborhood, wherever it is, that strengthens, unites you. You become that unit, and then it creates that common structure of community. Is this making sense?
Absolutely. And also, I want to ask you, or maybe it's a kind of comment that even though if the men or father or anyone in the household, the men is not present, then women take that lead that role, right? So it's not always men and men. It's it can even a woman can lead the role, support, in
Right.
any society or anything. I just want to share. And there's a question from a Facebook user. What advice would you have for men that are scared to take that first courageous step?
The advice?
Yeah.
For me is it's you just make a choice. You create a vision for yourself. A lot of times when you can't see yourself, so a lot of people can see you. So this is where that humility of aspect is. You ask somebody. There's, if it's what can I say, asking for the mental help, emotional help, spiritual help. the advice I would say is like, write it down, write it down, the goal that you're going to do, put it up somewhere. So during my workshops, this is one of the worksheets that I do. So it says I am a. So I am a on this what do you call it? Say our gear. I am a provider. This is part of our hunting series. So men, they when they're going hunting, for example, you have other ones that say I am a father. However somebody identifies, they write it down on this paper. I am a dad. The easiest one for me, I am a dad. So right here, right now, I'm a dad. So I'm going to fulfill who I am as a dad. I make that choice. I envision. Remember, you make that vision a reality. You make it happen. You set that goal for yourself. And if you have to write it down, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to ask. You make a plan to take that first step. Whether it's like today, now, tomorrow, you plan, a good plan for your next day, it's going to lead to all those days add up to a week. You have a good week. You have a plan for a good week. All those weeks add up to a month, and then a year. So you have these goals that you envision for your success to have a good year. And then if you have a 5-year plan, you're going to have 5 years of success. But again, it comes down to being honest. You have that honesty, the value of being honest with yourself. Okay, you honestly make a choice. You decide. Then I was going to go into how the actual paradigm works. So the way the paradigm works, the one I teach here, the thing about my gear, I put a lot of effort into my brand, my logo, is when you look in the mirror, it says, am I? Who am I? And then I say, I am a dad, or I am a provider. You see that reflection because you can't see yourself. So you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, who am I? Who do I want to be? Where am I going? And then the thing is, you look back and you say, where am I coming from? To this place. That's when I was talking about our place before. You want to move forward so that you can be at a place of peace. That's the main goal. That's why I'm saying being honest. Honesty is our most important value that we display, we tell. You put it out, you put honesty out there, and then it's going to reflect back. So with the IMA and the way the model works, I'll give you a quick overview of how our model works. So we have the truth. We learn the value of truth. We learn to respect the truth, which gives us the value of wisdom. And then we have the outer value. We show our honesty, which is a reflection of that truth. And then love is a reflection of that inner respect that we have. And then humility feeds our wisdom. And then humility is also about looking back on this model. When we're faced with the truth, we either respect it or disrespect it. And then we go into our options. How do we overcome this challenge? Or how do we overcome the truth? And so we honestly make a choice. We honestly make a choice based on our options and our respect for the truth. And then we act. We act out of love. Again, we may not like everything that we're doing. We may not like our jobs or whatever we're doing, but we do have that respect for, the things that we need. The truth is we do need things to buy. And then looking back with humility, those questions answered, did you choose the right option? So this is that when I was talking about humility, did you choose the right option? The thing within our communities too is a lot of men don't have those options. And so they also don't know to ask another man, for that wisdom, to share the options or knowledge that they have. So when you get to this point of humility, this is where you come up with a new truth. Now I know, you come up with this new truth, and then you keep going. This is happening simultaneously between me and you. I'm telling you the truth. I'm being honest with you, and so you're taking that in as the truth. I'm talking to you, and so you're respecting that. And then I might be answering questions or giving you knowledge, which would enable you to have more options. But what's happening at the core of between me and you is it's our courage coming together. So you have this courage to tell the truth, to respect the truth, to be honest. So what happens here is this is where your brave space is. You create this brave space. You have this courage to be brave and tell the truth by being honest. Or you have this courage to be brave and to make that choice. The truth is you envision yourself, taking that step. And so what do? You make an honest choice based on your options and your respect for that truth so that you can be at that place of peace. So this is how this paradigm works. This is how this model works. So after you know the truth, then you manage it. You go into managing the truth. Now you know the truth, so you respect that. And then that option B works. That when you looked with your humility, when you look back, option A didn't work. Maybe option A was doing nothing, which is what a lot of people do. They do nothing, and then they just keep going around and doing the same thing over and over. It's not until somebody says, they look at them, they see them, whatever they're doing, their actions, and they tell them, you could have made a better choice. You could have picked a better option. So they get humiliated, which is all right. This is what I want to, another thing I tell the men, it's okay to be humiliated. I tell the kids, you ever have an epic fail? Did you ever have an epic fail on your skateboard or skating, whatever you're doing, running and jumping? And then all the kids are like, yeah, I did that, yeah. Even parents, adults do it. And so this is how that paradigm works. This is the short version of, so you can see these inner values on this side, and then these are the values you display. And then it's your courage helping you, and then it's the people within your circle encouraging you with encouragement. They're making help a result for you. Whether it's they're sharing the truth, telling a story, you're respecting that, or they're giving you some options, they're being honest with you. This is why I say, without honesty, there's no truth. You can forget about respect. Wisdom, you can just be a crappy option. When you look back, this is where your regret regret weighs a ton. And so a lot of people just don't ask. This is why I encourage a lot of people to, ask a question, just ask.
But Chris, I have a question though.
Okay.
When you talk about the wisdom, the options, a lot of times, especially the younger generation, right? They may not know where to go or, who is the right people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may have come across with conflict or, challenges, though, right? So what would be the best way to identify or get to know those circle, the resources, like where to go, or how to get help.
The thing with our day and age now,
Yeah.
we have everything is, you have your phone, you have your tablet, everything is, you can just search it. You can search anything nowadays. All the information is out there. Even my, I don't recommend this like for medical advice, but you can Google anything for medical advice. My daughter had a fever. We researched it. We just typed in the keywords. How can I? It's all out there. All that information is out there, and all of those services, they should be online. If you just type it in, if you don't want to tell somebody, and then a lot of these places now are very confidential, which is great. And then I'm sure, like if I know you would help somebody if they needed help. I would help somebody if they needed help. As part of our identity, wanting to fulfill our role to be that helper.
Well, my question, or the way I am looking at, it's totally different from the general public, especially to the with the indigenous community, right? So the one you put on the board, it's easily you can relate, you can understand, right? We can understand the values. If we don't know the values, or if we cannot understand the values, it's very hard for any man or any gender, right? So that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, just as an ordinary person, how can reach out, or how can get some kind of, the basic human values, right? There's like these ones is not really on social media or any digital platforms. It's very hard to find nowadays, right? So when you go back, and then when somebody is willing to teach, show in a different way, then they can actually relate to those core values, right? And they can understand their personal, the worthiness, or whatever we can name for it. But I know there's so much going on, especially nowadays. It doesn't matter which community, but especially, and also I see one question here, which do you see as more beneficial to your traditional values, or integrating to a certain extent with Western culture?
So in my culture, in my background, my knowledge is that we as Indigenous people are very resourceful. We're very adaptable. We change. We have 6 seasons, so we go through these 6 seasons. So the 2 other seasons that we adapt to are the freeze up, the cold, and then the spring thaw. So those are 2 seasons that we I guess you can say we navigate our lives with through our traditional, I guess, plans for the year. But we also are very resourceful, whereas we will do what's right for us. We will find what's right for us. Compared to, I guess, if you want to talk about the Eurocentric, Euro-Western ways of doing things, there's always this best practice. This is best, but it might not be best for me. That's the thing. I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to find what's right for me. So when I teach about these teachings, they're your universal teachings. They're adaptable for you. So this is why I tell you to, or tell the people that listen, that make it your own. Make it your own. It's your true story. I'm not going to judge you, or I'm not going to judge. I have no right to judge anybody, because it's their truth. The Indigenous Men's Alliance is for those who identify as men. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. I have a lot of two-spirited friends, and sometimes they say they don't wake up, they feel either way, and it's up to. So I don't have that right to judge them. So your true story. This is why I talk about, that value of honesty. You're an expert at being you. You're going to be an expert at being you. You have been an expert at being you. Like me, for being on this, I was thinking about, even the way I dress. I love wearing my brand. The model for success is right on my brand. Those 3 dots that I have on my brand here. It's a model for success. That's what it means. It means truth, respect, and wisdom. And so when people see me, they can say, well, there's a model that I can follow. So when you're wearing the gear, you are literally a model to follow. So this is why I love wearing my brand. I love wearing, that's pretty much all I wear. I have t-shirts, hoodies, hats of so many colors. And so this is why I wear my gear. I'm not going to wear a suit. I won't wear a suit because that's not who I am. I stand here, the shirt, tie, right? And, I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to tell you my true story. When you were talking about the youth earlier, is my son, he was recently in a place that was not peaceful. He was in his safe place. He was video gaming, and he would distract himself. He wasn't working. He's an adult now. He's 21, gonna be 22, and so he would do what all the young people do. They would just drink and do drugs, maybe. I don't know, but he wasn't fulfilling his true story. And my mom was telling me, I might be further along the trail, if you want to say that, the path. My mom always said, but make sure you wait for him. You don't give up on him. That's the thing. There's people following you, and I realized he's gonna follow me. So I waited and I waited for him. So which goes into the next part of my teaching. The next part of my teaching is our path in life. When we talk about our circle, for example, when we talk about our circle and our path in life, who we are is composed of four different parts. We have our mental aspects, our emotional, we have our spiritual, and then we have our body, our physical aspect. So when I think of the men, I always talk about the men because that's how I identify as. So when I talk about these 4 aspects of who we are, what makes us up, this is how I break it down. So I break it down into this same paradigm. So talking about my mental health or your mental health, who is supporting you? Who is supporting you in your circle, your mental health? Who is that support structure? When I think of my son, I was supporting him, but he needed that other element to support him, which is my wife. My wife said she would step to the line to help support him. And then Grandpa, my dad, stepped to the line. And so now his mental health has become much better. We got him a counselor. There's lots of professionals that can deal specifically with certain parts of what his mental health is made up of. So this is how I teach the mental health aspect. Who is supporting you? You think of you, whoever's listening, Who is encouraging you? Who is encouraging you to be mentally healthy? And then you think of your emotional health. Your emotional health, who with your feelings, who is helping you to feel good? In our culture, we what do we say? We don't have a right or wrong. We have the idea that you could have made a better choice. We never tell somebody, you were wrong. We say, we encourage them to make a better choice. And so I think this is where a lot of people are doing with the best practice. You can say what's best. This is what's best. And so they're not giving them those options so that they can make an honest choice. So this emotional health, who is helping people with the way they feel, because nobody knows what you're feeling, and it's not until you show it. Like even your tears, you display. Your body is honestly displaying that it's in this emotional state. And then we go into that spiritual aspect, your attitude. A lot of people think that spirit is about ghosts, but I do think about like that energy, the energy you give off, that attitude you give off. The thing about our mental, emotional, and spiritual and our physical aspects is those things our mental, emotional, and our physical aspects, those things can go up and down. You can feel, your body can physically be good, or it can be not as good. Your mental state, you can think positive or you can think negative. Even in our culture, we don't have words that mean negative. So we have words that you can think good or you can think not as good. And then you can feel good, or you can feel happy, or you can feel sad. But the thing about our spirit and our attitude is that it just goes into a resting space. We can do things with a lot of spirit, or we can do things with very low spirit. In our culture, we talk about us Indigenous people as being spiritually perfect beings, because our spirit just goes into a resting place. And so you think of, this is how I teach we call it the medicine circle. Some people call it a wheel, which is a European word, which is, I guess, best for them. So you think about something, then you feel about something, affects your spirit, and then your body goes into that action. So you think about something, you feel about it, and then your attitude about doing it, then you actually go and do it. And so this circle, then it comes back full circle again. But this is what I talk to the men about, is their mental health. And then who is that support structure for them in their circles? That's the quick lesson on that. So we relate it to the feather and community. So there's 4 parts of the feather. So talking about this feather, you can see there's 4 parts. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the delicate feathers, the soft feathers at the bottom, I'll bring it in here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
The delicate parts represent when you were a baby. So these strands of the feather, they represent your experiences in life, if you want to say. This here represents your path in life till you reach the end.
Right.
You have all these experiences, whether it's something might be affecting your mental health, your emotional, you might feel your attitude, whatever it is, your body.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when you were young, you broke your leg, right? And so you are physically ruffled. Your
Yes.
feathers get ruffled. Sometimes a lot of people's feathers are so ruffled. So when you think of men or people in a relationship, if one is ruffled, and then you think of that bird, that being trying to reach to that place of peace, they're not going to get there very smoothly. It's going to be a rough ride.
Mm.
So this
Yeah.
is what I teach about, you need to ask for help from others so that you can, go through life as smoothly as you can. There will be those challenges. The truth is you will have challenges, so you respect that and you navigate through them. What are your options? You look at your options, you honestly make a choice, you act. Maybe you go this way, you go up, you go down, and then you look back with humility of where you came from, and then you look back at then you look forward to where you're going. There's those three aspects again. Your present position is part of the 7 directions teaching. And so this is why I talk about being in a healthy relationship, being balanced. If somebody is ruffled, then your home, your circle is going to be out of balance. You'll physically see it, I guess, so you can see how it is. Everybody knows the thing about being balanced, having this balance, is that when you're balanced, you have these values, you know where you're going, you're going to give off this energy. They call it photonic energy, that good vibe, if you want to say. You give it off. And then people who have that same positive energy are going to be drawn to you. It's the same thing with if you're giving off the not so good energy. The not so good people will probably be drawn to you. You know this. A lot of people know this. And it's all about your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical state. And then when I'm at these one-to-one conferences, I'll physically give somebody a feather, that's all ruffled. You can ask for help. And then they usually just give it back. They fix it. And then I give everybody feathers as gifts for coming to our presentation. So we have a quick teaching. We have male and female feathers and 2 spirited feathers. And so the female feather is closer on this side to the heart, and then the male feather's on this side. So it'll be, if they're flying, they're flying like this. And so the big feathers represent the big people. And then the small feathers represent the little people, our kids. So it's all of these feathers, all of these people working together in a balanced way, taking care of each other so that they can take flight, so that they can reach their destination, so they can fulfill their destiny.
Absolutely.
So all of these, so this is where you have these leaders as well. Leaders of those people or those flocks going to places, to be at that place of peace. And so, but it all starts with these foundational values, what I was talking about with that circle. So this is a very important teaching that I give about this is the short version, I guess, of our overall mental well-being.
Well, there are a lot of things that we can learn from the nature, that we can connect, we can relate, we can learn a lot of things. And it's a one way to heal, but at the same time, it's to learn too. I think some of them, the things you already covered, but I still want to ask you a couple of questions. So if we can add more, what do men need in the community to become better men?
So in our communities, men need a space. They need a space. if you want to think of it like the fire keepers, they need a space to make a fire. They need a space to intersect. When we're talking about like internationally, they need that space to intersect. They need a fire. And so when I think of myself, my spirit name is Eagle Calling Man. So I've been a teacher, I've been a leader as long as I can remember. And I think of myself as, somebody who can create this space and create that spark. Create that spark. And what happens is when I make this fire, I'll give out this warm energy. And then when I talk about that energy, when you're giving off that warm energy, putting it out there, come to the fire, come to this space. Like they need a physical space where they can just, I talk about being alone and then being lonely. A lot of men are out there and they're with a whole bunch of friends, even in a big group, but they're lonely. It's because they don't have a space to, and they don't have those values to go to actually have those deep-rooted discussions. And then it doesn't always have to be about healing. It can be about progression, progressing. This is what I did to progress. And so when we get into these spaces, we look back. This is our 7 generations model. For me, I look back 3 generations. 1, 2, 3. And then this is where I am right now. And so what I'm doing is I'm making decisions for the next 3 generations. So my son...
I love the way you draw. I really love that.
My grandson and then my great-grandson. So this is what we can do. We can make choices that will impact our great-grandkids. It's totally doable. And so when our great-grandsons, they will be looking back to what we did for their next 3. So this 7 generations way of thinking that Indigenous peoples do, this is the way I present it. And so because my son, if this is my son, he's already in his 7 generational model, using these past 3 for his next 3. And so this is what we can totally do in this space for, even if it's just a dinner. This is what I found out in my research. The guiding question to my research was, what are the contemporary conditions in place that foster, develop, and promote a healthy man's identity? Who they are. And I didn't find very many spaces, unless you have an addiction or you're in a not so good place, I guess if you can say, might be in a hole, whatever. So there's a lot of money put into that as well. And I think that when men get out of those spaces, they need a space where they can go to, where they can become uplifted, so that they can get to that next level. We don't think of people as above one another. I wouldn't think of another man above me, because I need other men standing beside me to strengthen who I am, strengthen my identity as a fire keeper, standing on this line, providing, protecting, advocating for that space. And so within our communities, we don't have a lot of spaces for our men. I don't think we honor, because there's a lot of good men in our communities. They just need to have that fire lit, and you can even ask them, can you come to the fire and help feed that fire? And so when the men come there and they're fueling it, whether it's with their wisdom, their knowledge, and then just being somebody to listen to, you can just go there to have a cup of coffee and be a listener, because a lot of men need to put that energy out there, put it out there, And then you create these policies. Well, you always have to have these policies, protocols in place to protect the individuals. You have those professionals in place, whether they're, dealing with mental or emotional challenges. You have those professionals, those resources there, where those men can be encouraged to seek. The thing with my research, I called it untuhun. Untuhun in my culture means hunting, but it means to seek what's in the universe. So my research was seeking what's out there for men, seeking what services, programs were out there. And I didn't find a lot, so I created the Indigenous Men's Alliance. So men can come to this space and ultimately not be judged, to tell their truth, to be honest, to have that respect and show their love, to ask questions so that they can gain that wisdom. And it was always up to me, to provide this space for the men so I can give that encouragement. And this is what the IMA is all about. This is what, I guess, will be my destiny.
Chris, since you brought this 7 generational model, I want to ask you one thing here. Also, you are a teacher too. So the social pressure, cultural pressure, political pressure, family, economic pressure, academic, religion, everything is related. We are bombarded with those, all layers, all pressures. So especially I want to ask about this younger generation, right? So there's a big gap between the younger generation and the older generation, right? So how can the younger generation overcome these challenges, especially this pressure?
It's that is a very big challenge. I know of this great big gap, I guess, because there are a lot of services for the IMA. My target audience is men aged 30 and over, 30 and up. So in my research, I found there's a lot of spaces, programs for families, and there's a lot of spaces for youth, 14 to 29. But there's no space for men aged 30 and up. And so where do men learn to be models for that younger generation? Who are our younger generation looking to for their next 7 generations, for their generations? And so this is another big goal for the IMA, is to teach men about these values so that they can pass on these parts of because when you have these grounding values, the big aspect of, our character, when we make those honest decisions, we build that trust. This is a big thing within our communities, is being able to trust somebody, and so if they're not honest, you're not going to gain that characteristic of trust. And so the youth are become, like even now with uncertainty, when there's uncertainty, a lot of people conspire to other things. They come up with these other theories, and it breeds off of uncertainty. And a lot of our youth nowadays they're not able to learn how to make a choice, to envision themselves at a place of peace, fulfilling who they are. I'm sure when I talk about there's the 7 directions, right? It relates to the feather. And so you think of the place you're at right now. You can go forward, you can go back, you can get distracted this way, you can get distracted that way, you can go up and down, and then, but you need that place. You know, you start your journey, you need that space, that first starting point. And so this is why I talk about the value of honesty. You know, you need to be honest with yourself, think about your path, then you feel good, you think about your attitude, and then you physically go into it. So when I talk about Indigenous cultures, this is the way we adapted. You know, everybody had a role. That's the other part. Everybody had a role in our circles, whether you're inside or on the line. You know, you had a role. People were teaching each other about those roles. And then we do have those spaces for the youth, you know, and I think a lot of our programs in our communities need to be more at the root level. When I was talking to other men who worked in, my buddy who worked in the penitentiary, he said their men's programs talk about the surface stuff. You know, the weather. Oh, it's raining. You know, they just talk about, you watch the hockey game, did you watch the football game, baseball? You know, they talk about the surface stuff, but they don't get into the truth. You know, you can't see the truth within somebody. Like, you can't see my truth. You don't know how much respect I have for my true story. It's not until I'm honest with you. You know, and so people, this is why I say the men need a space so that they can be honest. You know, they can honestly fulfill who they are and who they're going to be. And then the people that are following, you know, then they can look up to these men. You know, because when I was talking about my son, you know, he's looking up to me or looking to me to lead him into a good space. And this is why I teach him, because his younger brother is following him. And so if he goes off the path, then his younger brother following him is going to go off the path. So my mom, again, like she said, you know, you have to wait for him. Don't give up on him. The thing too is with our youth, it's like we expect them to do more with less. We expect them to do more with less. You know, they're less. What can you say? Their growth mindset is not as progressive as we hoped it would be, and because they're so distracted, right? But if you can, like, this is where in my home, you know, my son, he doesn't have an iPad, he doesn't have video games, and so, but now he's like so creative. You know, he uses his mind, and he feels good about what he's doing. He has a good attitude, because our technologies can be also good, but not as good. Does that make sense?
Sure. We do have questions from audience. So let's. We hear a lot about women's self-care and how that looks. What do you think men's self-care and should look like?
The men's self-care, it
Mhm.
comes with, I tell people that, like, when I'm not doing my teachings here, I have a list. I have a list of all the things that I need to get done, and then I choose three. I choose three that I'm going to do. That's my priority. It starts with making a choice. Okay, this is good. This. And then I think of the truth, right? This is the truth of all the things I have to do. It goes with my root values. It goes with everything that we do. The truth is we need to breathe. So we respect that. You know, the truth is we need to get things done. So we make that list. So with self-care, you know, it's about making that choice. I need to do this for my self-care. And it's about taking the time to do it. That's the other thing. Take the time. You're not going to get more time, right? But you need to plan the time that you're going to use. for your self-care. It should be at least 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day of taking care, whether it's like even going for a walk. The reason we feel so good when we go for a walk out in Mother Earth, I guess, out in the bush, on the park, is because it's a balanced place. You might be out of balance like this, right? So when you go into nature, it's balanced. So you will automatically become balanced because of the environment that you're in. And so nowadays, whether you're living in the city, it's always out of balance. Noise pollution, if you want to talk about that, you got to go to work, get up in the morning, everything. So this is why we talk about being reconnected and then going to be with the land. We're with Mother Nature. She creates that space so that we can be brave. She encourages us to be brave there. We can even put the truth out there, whatever is bothering us. We give off that not so good energy, and she takes care of it. She balances it. She has the strength to do that. The same thing within your relationships. If you're go home out of balance, and then you're gonna imbalance your home. You bring that imbalance. You go out, and then you bring back. Everything you do outside of that space is to keep your space. You might go to a job, but you do that so you can keep your home. It's like a breathing, you breathe in, you breathe out. It's a living, sacred space. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think I'm connecting myself, like when we go out, let's say, just for a walk, right? So we actually connect with the nature in a way that some kind of fresh air, or some kind of like changing mind, or our mindset. It brings back to the balance. That's what you mean, I guess. Is that right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, of course, I love to ask a lot of questions, especially you are a teacher, but let's see, what's the first step men can take to a brighter future for themselves?
The first step you can do is you can find somebody to answer your questions.
Right.
That's the other thing. You start a conversation. Somebody that you can relate to. In our culture, we say all my relations. That's why we talk about all my relations out there. Whether we talk about being related to, the birds. We have that universal connection to the birds. So we can relate to them. We can relate to them that they're going somewhere. And they need to be balanced to get there. So we can relate to that. So we call them all our relations. And so, if you, I'll put it out there. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. Just send me a message. I chat with people all the time. Men will message me and talk to me, call me. But it's about, again, being honest. That I can't express being honest enough. Being honest. Think of the place you're at, and figure out which direction you want to go, where you want to be, who you want to be there. You can, you will, you must. For me, I can do it because I'm capable. I will because people are depending on me, and I must because, that's who I am. I need to fulfill my role and my responsibility. So when I'm talking about all of these values, these characteristics, these teachings, the way that you choose, your honesty, they'll become part of your identity. When I was talking about your identity, even physically, it gets ingrained onto your DNA. There's your DNA. That's the structure, the 7 parts of your DNA. You think of the 7 generations, the 7 directions that you can go in, the 7 values that you can, because all of these values, they're all connected. As far as you can go, the truth, respect, wisdom, they all connect. They keep going. When we talked about time, time will go on without you. And then it's just up to you to make this list. Invest. The other part is you can invest if you do have the money to invest. Like, I know this one is free, but I think you're worth it. Like, think of yourself, make the choice that, be honest with yourself, I'm worth the investment. I'm worth, like, buying, if you have to buy a book, if you have to do 20 minutes of research, take that time, invest that money, so that you can become healthy and fulfill your role, and so that you can get to your destiny.
My question is that maybe it's related to that the first question though. Since you actually started this organization, Indigenous, Men's Alliance, and also you saw there's a huge need, right? So why do you think, or why don't men ask question, or they don't open up? Basically, there's a lack of a lot of things. But why do you think? What would be the reasons?
Well, when I was talking about you learn from your environment. In my research, one of the men said, well, a long time ago, he's an older man, and he said a long time ago, they were told, modeled the behavior that you weren't even supposed to cry at a funeral. There's all these notions that, you have to man up, men don't cry. Whereas a lot of men, I think, need to know it's okay. That's the big thing. It's okay. It's okay to share. It's okay to feel. When when I talk to the men, you think of trauma or grief, something, it's heavy stuff, right? It's heavy, yes. And so the men carry that. And a lot of men, they don't. This is where you get to the aspect, the value of humility. They don't look at what they're carrying. They don't ask themselves, like, why am I thinking like this? Why am I feeling like this? Or they dwell on that grief, so much that they get stuck. A lot of men are stuck, if you want to say the muck, they're stuck in the mud, and they're not taking that step forward, or they're not asking for help to become lifted out of that hole, I guess, that mud. And so this is where, a lot of our help, our services, they are, you think of your community, and then you have all these services in there, but a lot of men will not go there. They think there's this stereotype that you're going to get help because you're weak. You need help because you're weak. No. In our cultures, our indigenous cultures, what was the right practice was standing on the line, and creating the structure to strengthen and empower one another from that value of courage, encouragement. And so a lot of men don't have these spaces. They don't have these teachings as well. Like within my culture, like when my mom was born, I wasn't even allowed to tell this stuff. I wasn't even allowed to share. I wasn't allowed to get together with my friends. And
well, it's not only in one culture. I mean, not only in ethnic culture, but it's also, indigenous community. But it's also, if you look at across the world, it's mostly around any culture, any ethnic groups, right? But how we can break the barriers, man? Like it's really hurting not only the older generation, but also the younger generation and the future generations too. So how can we break the barrier? It's so much a stigma or whatever we name it, but we have to break it, right?
Yes. As a maybe this is why I was uh, meant to teach, I guess. I was born to teach. I remember since I was grade 7, even before that, I was a teacher, and I was sharing the truth, that value of the truth, being honest with people, sharing the truth. Like, this is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. How do you, if you don't know, then you won't know how to overcome, if that makes sense. So I think, like, through education, giving people a model to follow, that's the main thing that I do. I create this brave space and I give them this model to follow. I teach it through the TP structure, this home structure, this circle structure, because a lot of our services now, I'll use this. A lot of our services say, do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, follow these steps, right? But they don't have this model to plug all of this stuff into. So
Right.
this is why I teach, I call it the model for success. I created this model, by sitting at the fire. I was looking at the structure of the teepee and I was thinking about, truth. I was thinking about these values, where they come from. And it was like just my intuition, my innovation to come up with this model to follow so that people can fulfill who they are. I sat and I thought about them. What does truth go with? Does truth go with love or like respect? What do we learn? What's our foundation of who we are as people? What makes me up? And so I started thinking about, okay, the truth, and then thinking about my home, what makes up my home? So truth, respect, and wisdom. I was thinking, like, nobody can see my truth. Nobody knows how much respect I have. And I was thinking, nobody knows how much I know or wisdom or my options. And then love, I was thinking about, what is love? Like, I show love. I show love. Sure, you might, like, there's that chemical reaction in your body where you feel. And then honesty, I was thinking, so honesty goes with truth. And so sitting around the fire, and then I asked, it got spiritual too. I asked my grandfathers, it's a really cool story. So we use tobacco as when we pray, we put the tobacco into the fire, and then we follow it with cedar. And then we put it out there into the universe. We put that energy, whatever it is, we're praying, we're grieving, we put it out there so that we put it through that tobacco, through prayer. So when I did that, I put my tobacco in and then I followed it up with cedar. And I was asking, for some guidance for the IMA, what I was going to do, my destiny. And so I put my cedar in, and then that fire just almost it just crunched my prayer, I guess you could say, and all these sparks went flying up. And then at the time in that teepee, they were doing this language class, and I just came in and I said I wanted to do a prayer, and those people were standing around and like, and then one guy said, "That's a really powerful prayer." And then I was talking to another lady, and I said, "Did you see the fire?" And she said, "Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy." So this is why I say, you need a space for men to, put that energy out there. You need that space because you need that brave space. This is the big notion between brave and safe, what I was talking about. It's safe not to go to the fire, but you use your courage to be brave and go to that fire, put it out there. This is where, when you're talking about, how do we break down this barrier? I may not have the right angle to overcome this challenge that we have. So when I work together with another man, he has a different perspective, and so we work together to overcome that challenge. Maybe he sees a way to overcome because he's looking at it from a different angle. This is why I say the men sit at the circle. They don't sit above one another. There's this best practice of like a hierarchy, but we just sit at the circle because then you can see 360, right? You can see the challenges from 360 degrees, just like what we're doing here for Voice of Men 360.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We all have that voice to share. We all contribute to that fire. And the thing with when men come there and when people come is they're going to gain that energy, that strength, that knowledge, that empowerment, and then they take it with them. They take that energy with them and it spreads into the community. They take that to their home and it creates a warmer home. And then they share that warmth with their neighbor and then the next neighbor. And then you have a warm neighborhood. And then again, like those warm neighborhoods connected creates a warm community. And it starts with that space for men to, I guess, make that fire. And then this is a part of my destiny is to make that spark, create that spark, give the foundation, give the teaching of what it's based on.
Well, I can listen all day. I love, watching, and then I really want to ask a lot of questions. Keep coming. I cannot stop. Well, I don't want to keep you so long, but I do have 2-3 questions though.
Okay.
I really want to ask you, where did you start, like that moment? The Indigenous Men's Alliance. Can you share more details, like what exactly, how did you start, why did you start? And I know you mentioned a couple of things, but I really want to ask you that, and what exactly you want to, what's your focus future,
I wanted to, I thought about I didn't think about men struggling. I thought about men and I thought about like, what did they do to overcome their challenges, to break down their barriers? What did they do? And so I thought about, these men have this knowledge. These men have this knowledge and they should be sharing it. We had this potlatch system in our culture where people would come together and they would share what they knew and they would share their harvests, so that they can plan for the next harvest, sharing their wisdom, sharing their stories, their true stories. And I thought about these men that are educated like myself. I have 4 university degrees. I finished my master's last year. I have my teaching degree, and then I don't even have a space for me to share. Like I have all this knowledge, this wisdom. So where do I share it? Who do I share it with? So then, some organizations will, get me to come to speak to the people in their community, and then I give them that model to follow, so that when the men leave my fire, I guess you gotta say, my workshops, then they have that model to follow to overcome those challenges and those barriers. And then I have this group, the Fire Keeper group, where it's like a constant resource for men to, share what they know or just to check in. After you take the workshop, you get invited into this group, and then you can always have me, I guess, as a resource, somebody to talk to. But I was thinking, like, where are all these? I thought of the elite men, if you want to say it in that way. Where are they? Like, they should be sharing. Like, when I was talking about their growth, maybe they might be growing economically, financially, but I think of like the success. And then in our culture, we shared our surplus. We shared what we had. That was like always our tax. We always had taxes as First Nations people across Turtle Island, is because, we shared our surplus. We shared, like, if we had extra fish, if you want to go back that far, we had extra geese, we shared, we traded. There was always that trade going on. And then places in Canada, are named after where we would trade. Like there's Napani, that's just down the 401 here. And that Napani means flour. So that's where they traded flour. So there's lots of connections to, the way Indigenous peoples thrived, I guess. They took care of one another. And it was like this circle intersection, I guess, intertribal. We all intersected at that fire.
So where do you see, or what are some of the things that you are currently doing through your platform?
So I work through Facebook because men aged 30 and over, that's what they know. They don't really know Instagram. So I have to target that audience. And so I'll
Can I ask you a quick question, Chris? So when you say 30 plus, right?
Yes.
But nowadays, the younger generation or young men, let's say 25 or even early 20s, they get married. So how about below 30? Let's say even 25 or 22 up to 28. So what happened to those group?
Yeah, the young men, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
They still need those models to follow. That's what my goal is. Like these elite men, right? They need to get together, and so this younger guy, he's inside here, right? So one day he will take his spot on the line when he learns his roles, his values, his responsibilities. And so what he does is he sees these men, and so he learns from these men. And so I do invite the younger men to come to my workshops. And a lot of my workshops I target through Facebook, because men age 30 and over are on Facebook. That's what I was going to do. So I do my workshops through Zoom. A lot of organizations will contract me to, for their group, their organization. They'll the latest workshop I have posted right now is December 1st, 2nd, 8th, and 9th. And it's in the evening, like this one. This is the best time to reach the men, right after they've fed their body, right? Now they just need to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually uplifted.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is what's today? Wednesday? Yeah, this is the perfect day, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
December 1st and 2nd, 8th and 9th, same thing. And I'll do this into more detail. And then the thing with when I get into my workshops is I put their examples into the model. Like if a man is, or a dad, if you want to say that, or a younger man's in a relationship, I tell them about this model that they can follow. And then I use their examples so that they can totally relate to it. And so it's like a bunch of these men coming to get to the fire. I'm just organizing them in a way where they can contribute. Put them at a spot in the circle so that they can listen to me from whatever angle they're coming at it from. The thing about the model that I teach is, like I said, it's universal. You can plug it into wherever you are in your circle, your whatever age you're at, because a lot of kids understand the truth and respecting it, whereas young men do, older men. And then the thing is with the workshops is, I'll bring the elders in too, those past leaders, that we are now fulfilling their roles as they take their spot inside, and so we become those present leaders.
Well, can you share like how many workshops you do, or what are the types of workshop you do, and just briefly, how often you do you charge, or how can they participate, because a lot of people are watching, so they can get to know more.
Yeah, the workshop that I have now is it's $100 for 4 workshops. So there's the first, second, 8th, and 9th. So you get the 4 workshops, and plus you get I'll be giving away gifts, prizes, hats, hoodies, t-shirts. Plus you get all of the model to follow, some background on, I guess, more detailed on the inner values, where we get those values. And then you get to be a part of our IMA Firekeeper Facebook group. You get entered into that, so you constantly have, for the rest of your life, a resource, somebody, man, that you can, whatever you're going through, you can put that truth out there, and then we work with one another to overcome that challenge or that barrier. And it's when I was thinking about this, some people are saying, why is it $100? And it only comes down to like 27 cents a day. And I'm thinking, like, if people are not willing to invest 27 cents in a day for their overall mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being and their success, then it's then there's the other aspect, is some men think they are totally worth it. They are totally worth investing, like I was saying, investing in themselves. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put $100 towards investing in my overall well-being, to be a better man, to fulfill my role, to learn, to listen. And so that's the one for that one. Some organizations will contact me and say, Chris, I want you to come and talk for a couple of hours. And so I charge them by the hour. And then they'll buy the gear. The thing is that I try to get organizations to get the gear, because like you think of our society too, our communities, a lot of people don't know where or who they can go to know that they're going to be honest with them. They don't know who they can trust. So if somebody is wearing the IMA gear, it means that they have, or somebody has been exposed them to this model for success, and to be that model for success, to be a model that they can follow, to be a resource where they can go and ask a question, so that they can get those options. And so that's why I tell the organizations, maybe just get a hat, or if you want to get the hoodies, a lot of people like hoodies. And there's so many different colors too. We have like 28 different colors. We have 28 different styles of hats. It's amazing, I guess, what you can do now with clothing.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure whoever watching they can agree that it's $400. I mean, the workshop, or the value you are adding, you are giving, it's more than $1,000 though. I know for sure. So one other thing that I want to ask you, actually, 2 things, but these changes or breaking the barriers, that has to be started at 2 levels from my understanding. One is family circle, but also at schools, colleges, universities though. So since you are teaching and then you started while you are there, so what do you think, like, how we can reach out, or like as an individual or even organizations, how we can break the barriers that, not every institution that they don't want to be part of it, or they don't want to do any kind of men's work. But how can we get into that system that we need to get that education, get kind of like awareness over there at the school level? So
The thing that I found in my research is that if you put a poster, like an actual, like a poster on a wall
yeah,
at a shopping mall or in your lobby,
yeah.
the men will not come. Some will come, some will come, but you have to ask them directly.
Right,
You
right.
say, I need you to come, and just like you asked me,
Yeah.
I need you to come, and because a lot of men, it's safe not to volunteer.
I
It's
agree. I totally agree.
they'll make a choice out of fear,
Right, right,
being judged, not
right.
being good enough. Whereas when I teach about this model is every man has something to contribute.
Right.
Whether you're just listening,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. And if you just put a poster up like that, a lot of people will not, a lot of men, I mean, will not come. You have to like go and ask them, if you want to go door to door, we need you to come. And I found when I ask people, 3 out of 10 will come. 3 out of 10 will say yes. It's 7 out of 10 will not say. So when I was telling my son about, like it's with sales, right? You have to be really good at selling stuff. So if I ask somebody, hey, you want to buy a hat? Hey, you want to buy a hat? Better than this pitch, but I'll ask 10 people, or maybe I'll ask 7 people, and 7 will say no, but maybe the last 3 will say yes. So you're not gonna know until you ask. You honestly make that choice, and you tell them the truth, and it's up to them to respect it. You put it out there, and they either grab it and use it, and then they come, or they do nothing. Maybe they'll come just for a little bit. It's always those 3 options. They do nothing,
Yeah,
make
it's
it better.
practically reality. It doesn't work like that. It's. I mean, it's not about the gender, but it's a human nature that, especially nowadays, they don't want to bother with that. Nobody, unless you ask and have at least they will be willing to listen, at least, even if they don't want to come, but they're willing to listen, at least if we ask. Yeah, absolutely right. So the final question is that, you come across any unforgettable experiences, either in your personal circle, or anything you heard that this man or this particular individuals, we don't need their names or anything, but I just want to get some life experience stories, though.
Oh, yeah. What can I say? The thing is that when people give energy to us, it's up to us if we're going to take that energy, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to absorb it. Or this is when I talk about, if you're being balanced, you know your values, you know your story, and you believe in yourself, and you have the structure around you, the people around you that are going to encourage you, then it sort of just, if you want to say, bounces off. The thing too within our cultures is we use different types of medicines within our homes so the not so good energy won't latch onto us. Like I have this moose hide that I wear, and so the teaching behind that is the not so good energy will grab onto me. Like my son, he calls it his invisible shield. When my baby girl was born, we put that little tiny one on her ankle, and then mom wore one when she was pregnant. The Inuit, they use the seal skin. So there's these other things that we use as well. We believe in those. We know that that energy is out there. So there's that aspect, but overcoming like the relationship challenges with people is, if you have to, it's about people coming into your circle, right? And if they're either going to be a benefit or they're going to risk creating a toxicity. They're going to poison it. And it's all about respect and disrespect. Are you going to respect it or are you going to disrespect? Kids are really good at sensing this energy from people. You think of these babies even, they don't know that person's energy. And so they retreat. You sort of back off. They back off. Same thing like my grandparents. The grandparents that are here right now, they haven't seen baby in a while. So the daughter's a little bit iffy. Should I go? I don't know. And so she comes into my space. She knows it's safe there. So yeah, overcoming these challenges with men, I've had to humiliate them, but I know that humility is something that every man has to go through to have growth, to know the truth. The truth is you could have made a better choice, right? And so it's difficult for me to sometimes comprehend why is this person, they can make a better choice. They should have made a better, but I think sometimes this is where a lot of people only have their vision, their angle at what that person is going through. They don't know where they came from. They don't know their history, their background. And so this is why I say when the men come to the circle, it's a place where, sure, we will have these values in place, to be respectful, respect the truth of our place. But I don't know where what energy this man is bringing until he shares it. He tells it, he puts it out there. But I don't know where he's coming from. Why is he bringing that energy? And a lot of people, I think, are insensitive to that fact that they don't know the steps or the failures or the agony or what they might be carrying, how heavy, until they just dump it on you. They may not be directing it towards you, but they're just trying to get it off. And it just happens to fall in your space. And when we're talking about interrelationships, that person, we need people to interact with. We're that's how we are as human beings. We need interaction. We're social beings, and so we just push it off into society wherever it is, because we don't have a space. And this is why I talk about the men, having that space, that fire, where they can just put it out there. Because a lot of men, with Indigenous peoples in Canada, we have we're carrying a lot of stuff. Same with me, I didn't know I was carrying stuff until I found out, it was 6 years ago, about some of my traumas that my mom was carrying. And then I didn't know, that historical trauma was transmitted onto me. So a lot of people don't know that stuff. I didn't even know I was carrying it. Does that sort of?
No, it is absolutely. I can relate to a lot of things that you are saying, you shared so far, because I'm also came from very strong culture background, Chris. So I can relate to each one of the things that you are saying. Before we let you go, we want to bring you back probably to another show. But today we had a great session. Really, to be honest, I love each single of them. I had a note here, and then I was taking a note, and also the title is that Indigenous men's self-care and well-being, right? So we discussed a lot of things, and then even in the last minute, everything happening for a reason. That's what I always keep in mind. And with Kristi's help, support, finally somebody we could find, and the right person to the right title for the discussion, though. This is really a great value you added to the Voice of Men 360 of organization, to the community too. But before let you go, like, what do you want to leave with us? Any thoughts or anything?
So the goal of the IMA is to create a brave space for Indigenous men. But I open it up to whoever wants to listen. That's the other aspect. I think if people want to have that growth, grow their mindset about who they are, how they can get there, even the past of, seeing where they came from, and then like helping them along with their journey. So that's the goal, to create a brave space for Indigenous men, for men in general, because, I wouldn't be fulfilling my role if I wasn't encouraging the men, encouraging the people. I know, like, I put this energy out there, and then it's going to come back. Like, I put good energy out there, it should come back. I do act out of love. I love teaching, and I love the aspect that, I'm fulfilling my identity, fulfilling who I am. I am a teacher, and so I think about, like, who am I? I am a teacher, and I really enjoy teaching. I'm really glad that you did get to, I guess we did get to contact one another. I got to speak online here. Yeah,
I already shared your page on our group. Actually, on page or group, I already shared your page. I will share your contact information too. So, and whenever you have any workshop details or anything, you can share, you can post it on our group too. We really welcome you. And we really appreciate your inputs and experiences, the journey you have gone through. But we won't, let you go. We will bring you back a couple of times. Absolutely amazing experience, and then I have a lot of things. I really want to talk to you. I really want to ask a lot of questions because I still keep coming. So, thank you, Chris. In the last. With a very short notice, we got you. Sorry for the long session. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Chris.
Yes, miigwech. Take care, everybody. Be safe. My love to you and all your families. I'm Chris Morrison, the founder of the Indigenous Men's Alliance.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. So as we know, the Indigenous community, I do have a couple of announcements to share with you guys, though. And as many Canadians know, that our Indigenous communities are in a big crisis now, and they need our help and support. Voice of Men 360 is stepping up and it started donation drive for Indigenous families. If you have used clothes, dry food items, please let us know. We will collect them. Call us at 416-356-7414 or 437-889-8329, or send us an email at info@voiceofmen360.org, or contact us through Facebook Messenger and let us know. So we will coordinate with you. And Voice of Men 360 is celebrating our second observance of International Men's Day, a week-long celebration from Saturday, November 13th to Friday, November 19th. Today is actually day 5th. Each day we will have a 90-minute show with a variety of different activities. It will be live on Facebook and YouTube. Please join and support our event. Tomorrow, day 6, Thursday, November 18th, 2021, Exploring American Voice challenges, and successes in school. It will be from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. There will be a couple of probably 5 or 6 panelists from USA. They will be discussing based in focusing on USA issues. So we have our regular live shows. Open up, sharing your personal life journey. A live talk show is on Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Willie Tamil Live Talk Show is on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Monthly webinar. First Saturday of every month at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We bring expertise, organizations, and discuss a particular topic each time. And a monthly special show, The Unspoken Tears. Second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The focus is on domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, traumas, and human trafficking. And South Asian Men's Show, third Sunday of every month from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Voice of Men 360 and All Bengal Men's Forum will be hosting this show. We will specifically focus on these issues faced by South Asian men and create awareness. Each month, different countries will participate from South Asia. Podcast. All of our shows are available on 6 platforms, including iPhone, Google Play, and so on. And monthly men's group meeting, only for men by men, every 2 weeks on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. through Zoom. The next one will be on Tuesday, November 30th. Please join through Zoom. The link is available on our Facebook page and group. Pass the Talking Stick, Indigenous peer-to-peer support group. Fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Through Zoom. There are no limitations with the gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life can participate in any of our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows or willing to be part of our organization and help us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We would love to work with individuals or professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Phone number 437-889-8329. Email address info@voiceofmen360.org. Website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us on all the social media. Facebook group page, join our group so you can see our daily activities. Please invite your friends as well. Facebook group page, Voice of Men 360. We are running a special campaign, 5,000 members by November 19th because of the IMD 2021. Please invite your friends to join our Facebook group, Voice of Men 360. Other social media platforms are Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Voice of Men 360. Thank you. We want to reach out to more people, help more. Please support. And with one request, whatever you guys so far heard, please consider, think about that, and also pass it to others, share with other people. So this way, we can add more values. We can help more people. We can reach out to more people and support them. All right. Thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow to the next day special discussion. Thank you.